Eastern PA Weather 30 meteorologist Bobby Marchich here with a special update on Hermine and what we can expect for this area. I'm going to break down in this video exactly who will get the worst of the situation and where. The system itself is over the eastern portions of North Carolina this morning near the Outer Banks. You can see that pivoting around here. Still a tropical storm. Winds are listed at 60 miles per hour, but most of those winds are offshore. We do have some buoy observations this morning well offshore that are showing those winds that high. That's also closest to the center here. We are getting some wind gusts along the coast from both Atlantic City and down to Ocean City, Maryland, with wind gusts to 32, sustained out of the east at 20. Those are generally what we can expect today because this system is moving off to the east-northeast at about 21 miles per hour per the latest update. Here's the radar here showing that over the eastern portions. It's going to move out, continue to move out in this direction here, kind of away from the coast, but then it's going to, we think, pivot back to it, and I'll show you that here in a second when we get to the model guidance. Here is this system wrapping up, and it's right just maybe northeast, slightly northeast of the eastern portions of the Outer Banks, and that's heading off the northeast. The coldest cloud tops on the infrared satellite imagery here are up to the north and east, which is typical of this system. As it starts to wrap up, it will also transition to a post-tropical cyclone, which doesn't really mean much for impacts. It just means that we're going to lose tropical characteristics in that warm core and go to a cold core system, which will make this essentially a nor'easter on steroids, so to speak, and it will really affect. Don't want to minimize the impacts here. The impacts along the shore points will be great, but further inland, the further inland you go, the better it gets, and I will go through that in this video as well. I did mention a couple times on the Twitter account that those are in the interior in Pennsylvania really don't need to worry about this at all, and I'll show you why here also in this image. Here's the latest radar. This is showing the radar out of this is the radar out of Mount Holly, showing the rain just starting to get up to a point of just getting into southern Cape May County. Also, pretty heavy rain across Sussex County, Delaware, just getting into southern Kent County, Delaware. This will continue in these areas today. I do think you're going to get some gusty winds with these also, but nothing incredible yet. I think the worst of this will actually come on Sunday night, overnight, as the system moves, re-energizes out here and starts to move westward. But how far westward, I don't think it's as west as some people are making it seem. And I'll show you that here in the video. Here is the model guidance showing where that is right now, and that's pretty spot on with the track. It's going to continue moving off to the east-northeast. I'll take this frame by frame ahead for you. You can see that, you see that here. This is now getting into overnight Saturday night. Still the shore points still getting some rain and wind here, but you see it's just the shore points that are getting it to this point. So interior, we're talking about cloudy or mostly cloudy skies, maybe a little bit breezy, but I don't think it's really breezy until even in the interior until you get to Sunday night when the system starts to retrograde closer to the coast. This thing will start to transition. You can see it starting to strengthen, start to transition to a nor'easter and taking on cold core characteristics at this point. It will intensify because of that process. It's a baroclinic process that enables it to re-intensify, but again, not as a tropical system. This will be as a nor'easter at this point. And it starts to, because of this high off of the north, which is sitting right here, this high is going to do a couple things. It's actually going to help it to slow down. It's going to stall it, and it's going to retrograde it toward the coast a little bit, and that's because you have the winds coming around a high like this. That's going to do a couple things with that. Not only retrograde the system, but also the winds coming around the low pressure like this. So you see where that's going, right into the coastline. So that's why we're worried about the areas along the immediate coastline and up to 15 miles inland, it looks like, for those highest impacts of wind. And then you're also going to have to worry about things like storm surge that are going to be in the 1 to 3 foot range, flooding in the back bays, waves that are going to be over 10 feet, and you're also going to have some beach erosion up and down the coast from anywhere from Sandy Hook, New Jersey, all the way down to Ocean City, Maryland. So we do have to watch for that along the immediate shore points. I think if you go, the further you go inland, the better the conditions get. And you can see this retrograding here on Sunday night, heading back toward the coast. That's what retrograding is. It's heading right back to the coast. You're going to get more impacts overnight, and I think these are going to be the worst impacts for the coast. You can see that here as you get into late overnight. It's a very heavy rain and wind right along the immediate shore points, but you also see it starting to get in further west to the northwest here. And then we go to the next frame here, and you're going to get some, this system's going to start to consolidate and die out a little bit. Its worst point is going to be overnight on Sunday night. Excuse me. Going to, this is now looking at early Monday morning. Maybe some showers and some for those feeder bands moving around the system here that will get into southeastern PA, maybe northern New Jersey. But that's really the extent of how far west this gets. If you're up in the Poconos, I wouldn't worry too much. Keep an eye on it, but don't worry. The system starts to pull away here and consolidate on Tuesday. We'll have improving conditions here on Tuesday, and even more so by Wednesday as this thing continues to move off to the east. So we're still gonna have some rip currents out here to deal with through at least midweek here along the shore points, but it will be improving each and every day. We're also going to get very warm this week by the time we get to Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures are going to increase quite a bit. We're going to make it run at 90 in the interior for highs as we get into midweek. This is the image I wanted to show you from 850 millibars. This is what's going around on the internet. This is what has a lot of people confused. These are wind speeds at about 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere. This is not at the surface, so this does not translate to the surface. So this is where the worst winds are today, and it's right along, where it's raining now, right along the southern New Jersey shore points, and also down to southern Delaware and down to Ocean City, Maryland. This is going to move eastward, so the winds are going to slacken a little bit once we get into at least the first part of Sunday. But then as the system retrogrades backwards, you can see what's happening here. The heaviest winds are coming back into the coast as the system's moving west, so you get some pretty strong winds. Now, this is a little misleading, however, because you have winds here in these reds showing that are above hurricane force along the coast. But again, this is at 5,000 feet. This is not the surface, okay? So it's not going to translate to the surface. It's also showing winds of 45 miles per hour all the way back to Allentown and into Lancaster, into the northeastern Poconos. This is also not happening. This is a little bit way too high because it's not where the strongest winds are going to be at the surface. Going forward again then to the next frame, and you can see it's starting to die down here on Monday morning as this system consolidates. Going to the surface map, this is the surface winds we can expect with this system. And again, this is when you translate to the surface. Right along the immediate shore points is where you get the highest winds. And you can see that right here where this green is indicated. These are winds that are sustained 20 to 35 miles per hour right along the coast. We're seeing that now. And this is at the height. This is Sunday night now. Further inland, you can see it drops off dramatically. If you draw I-95 in here, I-95 comes up here like this. I think I-95 is a good barrier as far as where the worst impacts are going to be. And then further northwest, it really drops off completely as far as the wind's concerned. The areas along the shore points are going to have the worst time and worst go at this. So anything within this and up to about 15 miles inland along the coastal regions is where we're concerned. So this area right here in this corridor is where we're expected to have the worst winds. And these are the highest wind gusts that we can expect. Right on the shore, these oranges and yellows here, these are about 50 miles per hour. So you can see some gusts up to 50, maybe 55, right along the immediate coast into Delaware Bay, all the way down to Ocean City, Maryland. And then also these areas in here are wind gusts above tropical storm force winds, but these are 35, 40 miles per hour. This is not what we're expecting along the coast. You see, again, I-95 being a general dividing line going back here into the interior into Pennsylvania. We're talking about wind gusts 20 to 30, maybe slightly more to 30 at one point, but not really that big of a deal once you get back into the interior. As far as rainfall is concerned, here's what we're looking at. Again, immediate shore points getting the heaviest rain, 2 to 4 inches along the coast, maybe locally higher in some spots. But look at the dramatic drop-off as you move further northwest. You go to under about a half an inch once you get into central New Jersey. Get to Philly, and you're about 0.3 of an inch, a tenth of an inch up here in Allentown. That's probably your cutoff as far as the rain, and that's just with that feeder band coming in maybe very late Sunday night, early Monday morning, and that's it. So you might have some gusty winds with that as that feeder band comes through, but that's about it. So further northwest, we're dry, we're cloudy, we're breezy, but we're not getting any precipitation in this area. So just to do a recap of what you expect from Hermine, the worst conditions will be at the immediate shore points and up to about 15 miles inland. The majority of the impacts are going to be felt southeast of I-95, with mainly cloudy and breezy conditions in the interior. Then some light rain will come in Sunday night for areas northwest of 95, but barely. You see all that for the previous image I showed with the rain getting up to about maybe Allentown or so. And that's about it. Not really a lot of precipitation coming that far inland. Shore points can see surge of 2 to 3 feet, wave heights greater than 10 feet. I think the greatest wave heights are going to be again Sunday night when that starts to retrograde back westward. Winds of 20 to 35 miles per hour sustained, gusts up to 50, and rain 2 to 4 inches again along the immediate coastline. There's going to be a dramatic drop-off of winds and rain over 15 miles inland. So that your points from the shore to 15 miles inland is probably your magic number for where you have to worry about the greatest impacts. Winds there after 15 miles are going to be 15 to 25 miles sustained gust up to 40, rain 1 to 2 inches. It's going to be mainly southeast of I-95 where that occurs. And then northwest of I-95, breezy 10 to 20 mile per hour, gust to 30. And light rain will come through on Sunday night. We'll update this again when we have new information come in. We'll have a later update later on Saturday, and then again on Sunday morning, and we'll update this throughout the storm with the greatest impacts. But right now, this is the way we see it. Not to downplay anything at the shore. We are downplaying the interior. We're not downplaying the coast. So if you're living on the coastal regions, please take those tropical storm warnings up from the National Weather Service seriously, because there will be definitely some serious issues there with beach erosion, coastal and tidal flooding, heavy rain, and high winds. I'm Eastern PA Weather Authority meteorologist Bobby Marchers, and that is your special edition update for Saturday morning for Hermine.